What up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Average Joe's X and O's podcast. And we finally have a Super Bowl champion and your LA Rams beat Cincinnati. And we're going to dive into that shit. But before that, because we didn't end up recording. Did we? I can't remember now. No, because we were going to record when I was in Ohio.
Yeah, but we recorded a quick one.
Well, my memory's
another
crazy.
quickie here today too.
Yeah. Probably because my memory, going back home to Ohio, there was a lot of drinking involved, and then
a lot of things happened.
Yeah. And then a snowstorm. So I basically lost 2 days when I was there. Me and you couldn't even meet up. So yeah, I mean, the one time that I visit, you got a foot of snow drops in 24 hours.
Yep. Well, it's just the luck, man.
I know, right?
Those,
But yeah, man, it's crazy that the season's over. Felt like we were just starting that shit up.
Well, and it did, and I don't know how you felt about the Super Bowl, but a lot of anticipation, a lot of hype around second-year quarterback Joe Burrow, a lot of hype around and a lot of rumors flying around about Sean McVay possibly retiring.
I heard
coaching. A lot of hype or a lot of rumors about Aaron Donald possibly retiring. So there's a lot of different storylines to keep track of for the Super Bowl. But ultimately, what were your thoughts on the game and just overall, MVP choice and just everything in general?
Well, shortly after the game ended, I was at a Super Bowl party and I got fucking hammered again. So I knew it was planned. I've known about the Super Bowl party for a while, so I knew it was going to be a shit show at some point. So yesterday, Valentine's Day, I had at work, and let's just say I struggled all fucking day. Yeah, I mean, the game was definitely close. I originally, just like I said, on paper is why I play the game. I kind of assumed like that the Rams would be able to kind of dominate, but Cincinnati came back and was in the game the whole time, and a lot of people are pretty salty to the point where they think that the NFL is rigged, which is a fair argument. I mean, we've been throughout the season, we've had numerous episodes where we talked about the refs like really changing the game with some of these calls, which, I mean, you could make the argument for this game where they weren't really calling anything penalty wise until that very last drive, So, I mean, that's always going to be something that people complain about that we can't prove 100%. But I always made the argument that NFL out of all professional sports would be one of the easiest to rig if you're going to rig it. Because, I mean, these refs don't, they might have to go tell somebody like, sorry, why they made a call. But that's it. Like, even if it was a really bad call, they don't get fined. They don't get anything really. So, but yeah, up until that point, I mean, I think when OBJ went down, it kind of changed the Rams offense because he was fucking heating up, dude. He was, he had the first touchdown, which, speaking of that, I lost all my fucking bets, which I'm UFC too. I'm right there on some of them, most of them. And like if hadn't Jamar Chase scored a touchdown, I think I would have hit twice. He hasn't scored in a while because I bet on him the last like couple weeks, but I should have went with like Boyd or somebody because they seem to be the ones that are scoring the most. But yeah, lost probably fucking $200 this whole weekend out of all my bets I put in. So that's not good. But luckily we get a break until next season. I'll still maybe bet some UFC, but the big fights. But my bank account needs a little break because I don't think I broke even this year. I think I started out hot and then I just freaking crashed down. But I think I saw a quick article about because how much like money Ohio lost out on betting because I mean obviously Cincinnati's in the Super Bowl, so because like the betting just passed and isn't live yet for this season, there's so much money that Ohio left on the table because everybody was just fucking throwing out crazy bets.
Right. Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the game goes, what I remember of the game anyway. Defense came in big. Aaron Darnold had that huge play at the end. I did see that Joe Burrow's knee is not going to require surgery. He got hurt there at the end of the game, so that's good because that would have, if you're like,
for them.
yeah, because like if you're OBJ, then it's unfortunate OBJ. Like I knew instantly, like as soon as he went down, it was like, oh shit, he knee blew out. And that's part of the reason why some of the NFLPA are trying to get grass fields back instead of turf because they claim that these guys are so fucking big, fast, strong that playing on the turf blows out a lot more ACLs than it does in grass, and you kind of saw it right there. But I mean, we're in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months away from the 2022 season.
With an ACL injury that probably, if you push it, you could get back into 8, but usually is about a 12-month recovery.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the same knee, if it was the other knee, because usually
it was the other. I think it was the other knee.
Usually it's the other.
At first, I thought it was the same knee, but after looking at it, I believe it was actually the other knee that he tore.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate for him because he's been dealing with those injuries basically his whole career. So
yeah,
but yeah, man, I mean, it's if you're a Cincinnati fan, it's, and I've even been saying this too, even if you're a Browns fan, it's like, do you look at Cincinnati and you're like, the fact they made it there this year? I mean, not only Burrow, I mean, you could arguably say it's Burrow's rookie season because he played in 6 games last year before he blew his knee out.
Right.
To make that big of a jump, then obviously Chase getting a Super Bowl his fucking rookie year is insane. And I feel like they're not going to get any worse, right? Like they have a lot to improve. Offensive line being probably the biggest one. They got a pretty damn good core group of receivers. And then, the head coach is this is his second year, right? Didn't he come in with Burrow?
Yep.
So it's pretty impressive. And, we'll see if it's just like a fluke year, if they can come back and kind of be right there next year too.
Man, a big contributor to this was, I didn't realize it, but in the playoffs, Cincinnati's defense only let up 1 second half touchdown all year in the playoffs.
Damn.
So like they played out of their minds this year.
Yeah.
For a team that wasn't throughout the season, that unit wasn't really a highly graded or highly ranked unit,
No.
As far as just overall metrics. So, I think the sudden emergence of that defense and schematically what they were able to do to limit offenses, specifically in the second half, really led to this run. And I just don't know how sustainable that will be going forward.
Yeah.
I think that Cincinnati's offense can be explosive and be productive, but you run into good defenses, as evidenced in this Super Bowl matchup. I just don't know that, they can sustain or keep up when you run into the good teams, and the good defenses. But I honestly, this was a lot closer than I thought, but I do think that Odell Beckham injury in the first half really shifted the spectrum and kind of changed the momentum for a good portion of this game. With the Rams and what they were trying to do offensively. Had Odell Beckham stayed healthy, I think this is not even a close game, honestly. The injury, the subsequent drive after the injury, Matt Stafford throws a pick off of, I don't even know what the fucking guy's name is. Some random white guy that he threw the ball to that I think got one other target the rest of the game because fuck that guy. Right. So yeah, I mean, that stuff kind of changed the whole course of the game, but eventually the Rams defense took over. And yes, there was some controversy in this game from a referee standpoint. I mean, you alluded to it a little bit about how, possibly the game is rigged and things of that nature. But, you have the T. Higgins touchdown on Jalen Ramsey, where when I watched it live, I was like, wow, that's OPI. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
the face mask threw Ramsey down to the ground, and there was no call.
Yeah.
So, that happens. And I'm like, well, that kind of changes things a little bit, I mean, that might give a jolt to the offense. And then the end of the game where honestly, the play, the PI on Cooper Kupp, I think, they let him play throughout the game. There were only 4 flags up until that point. Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of those were pre-snap flags. So they weren't anything you can really do anything about. Right. So that play though, technically if you watching it live, I didn't see much, but then they showed another camera angle, and Wilson does grab Kupp's hip, which you can do as long as you don't turn the receiver. But he kind of slingshots himself in front of Kupp by doing that, and does turn Kupp in that instance. So yes, by the letter of the law, that was a defensive hold or a pass interference call. However, with the way the game was called throughout the whole course of the game, kind of a big moment to do that, right? Mm-hmm. I almost feel like it was the proverbial, we fucked up on that T. Higgins for a touchdown drive, so we're going to make it up in this case sort of deal. I thought the play before, honestly, where in coverage, Darrell Henderson looked like he got held. Mm. And I thought that was a hold and they didn't call it, but they called it on Kupp. Or called on Logan Wilson in coverage against Kupp. But the biggest play of that game to me was the no-look dime by Matt Stafford over the middle on the dig route to Kupp.
That thing was insane.
That was so, since he's running some zone coverages and trying to do accomplish some things there, and they were pretty successful in doing so, especially with the limited options that Stafford had once Odell goes down. And he makes an insane throw, perfectly timed, like just a perfectly placed ball, and the no look aspect of it to freeze the rat defender in the in that spot was just it was a thing of beauty, right?
Yeah.
And what a fucking game, man. Just I thought it was at first it was kind of boring, but the end really livened things up.
Yeah.
The halftime show honestly was probably the highlight of the whole thing, as us but growing up with that, with that squad, you got Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop, 50 Cent hanging upside down, looking all
beefy, beefy.
He looked more like $1.25, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good show for the Super Bowl. But
it was funny. I saw a TikTok where like they were making fun. They were like, these teens during the halftime or doing the Super Bowl versus the parents. And all the parents are like kicking it, like dancing to the shit. And all the kids are like, what is this?
Right. Yeah. So one of my favorite memes from the game, how like they do the Pawn Stars, like somebody will say, oh, hey, free Britney. And the best I can do is this or whatever. Like my favorite one was, I'd like to try to get a hologram Tupac during the halftime show. And then that's the Pawn Star guys going, the best I can do is upside down 50 Cent. And I fucking lost it on that. I was cracking up, but anyway,
that's hilarious.
What do you think about Kupp winning MVP? You think it was his to win, or
I think part of him getting MVP was probably just in general, like of what he's done this season too. I think not just this game, you know what I mean? Because arguably you could. I don't know what Matt Stafford's final stats were, but just seeing what he did with Detroit and in his first season with the team that's pretty good, pretty stacked, they win the Super Bowl. So yeah, you could probably either of those two guys, but and I don't even know what Kupp stats were in this game, but he had the important touchdown there at the end, and that was a big play when he caught the no look pass, because that was like a 25-30 yard gain or something like that. It was a pretty big gain.
It was a big moment too, right? I'm pretty sure it was on a third down play. So
yeah. So him getting MVP, I think, is also part of what he did this season too, like his coming out party, and his story is pretty good as well. So I think all that is kind of a factor in it. So yeah, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, and we thought the Rams would win anyway, and honestly, the end of the game was kind of what our storyline throughout the whole game was. But I was pretty impressed with how Cincinnati was able to limit the impact from the defensive front of the Rams, going in through most of that game. But as the game wore on, we started to see Aaron Donald make his presence and Von Miller make his presence a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think Chris Collinsworth, as much as I despise him as an announcer, because I'm surprised he wasn't blowing Pat Mahomes the entire time, even though he wasn't even playing. He made a really good point on how Cincinnati was able to double team Aaron Donald because they weren't threatening the interior lineman with any sort of rush. And it was something like, as soon as he said that, I'm like, yeah, why don't you mug some linebackers in the A gap or force the protection to try to account for that. And, and then the Rams in the second half started to exploit that a little bit. They started to bring pressure. They started to put guys in the middle where you can't double team Aaron Donald, and they let their playmakers make plays. So I thought that was a really good adjustment by the Rams in that case. And it really did affect Joe Burrow in the pocket and some of the comfortability he had going into the second half in that game. So I thought that was a very interesting tidbit. And I noticed that a little bit too. Like he said, they're double teaming Aaron Donald. And I was with Rocky and Nate. I'm like, why don't they mug somebody, like, show some double A gap pressures and force the interior of the offensive line to have to take that one split second to account for it, where Aaron Donald can make a move, or you bring Von Miller as a spiker inside and let him, make moves like he has all of his career. So I thought, I thought that was a really good adjustment by the Rams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing about Aaron Donald, though. Like when they needed that play at the end, he got it.
He made it.
And that's what you want, Now a few rumors are going by about Aaron Donald, and then I read the one where it was trying to say that like McVay too, like we're gonna retire. And it's like McVay's like 37, and like I just think the way that he talks about football and shit, I don't see him retiring anytime soon. I think he's gonna be coaching for a long fucking time. Aaron Donald, I mean, he got drafted in 2014. We have seen a trend of players retire kind of early. And then, in Aaron Donald's case, it's like you just won the Super Bowl. You played into. I mean, is it going to get any better here in the back end half of your career? Maybe. You guys might be able to make it again, but easier said than done. If he did retire, maybe I'd be like, dude, cool for him. He got in the league. He played fucking 8 years, got a Super Bowl, been in 2 Super Bowls, got a ring. As far as a football player, do you want to put more punishment on your body? I mean, he's still young to the point where like he might be able to walk away. He's made the money, and actually now have a good quality of life versus, beating his body up even more. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of, just a dominant performance in his career. Has been one of the most dominant players in the modern era of football on the defensive side of the ball. Wouldn't necessarily consider him the greatest defensive player on that side of the ball as a defensive lineman, but he's definitely, he was definitely a dominant force, and had he played, so he plays 15 seasons, could he be there? I think he could absolutely be up in that conversation, but I think it's a little premature to say so. And the McVay thing is interesting too, but I can understand it from a coaching standpoint. He's talked about it before, getting burnout from coaching, the hours you got to put in, the stress it induces on you. For a guy that, hey, I've accomplished, I'm pretty sure is the youngest Super Bowl winning coach in NFL history. And it's just one of those things that he's like, hey, I've accomplished this feat. He can walk away from coaching for 5 years if he wanted to, do network television, and come back and be hired and still be one of the youngest coaches in the NFL. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, he has options available, and I would not be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I think he's got some young kids too. So, I mean, yeah, but you've seen him in interviews and the way his mind works and how he can remember like plays and shit from years ago. So it's like, I don't think if he's the guy that retires, I just don't think he is someone who can be gone for too long. So I think he'll miss it, but yeah, I could see that, like maybe taking 5 years off or something like that and then coming back.
Even if he say he took 7 years off, I mean,
even 10 years, he'd be 30, he'd be 47.
Right. So like, if he does retire, I don't think he completely walks away from the game of football. I don't think he rules out coaching in the future at all. So, yeah.
And then whenever, Stefanski ends up fucking up with the Browns, they can maybe hire McVay.
There you go.
Just kidding. But
yeah, there you go.
But hey, and then what's that?
Were you surprised about the Aaron Rodgers MVP this year?
Someone asked me about that. I honestly didn't even know he won until the other day, because I wasn't paying attention.
He wore a very interesting khaki suit, and I don't know how I feel about it, but that's besides the point.
I think I saw the top half picture. I didn't see the full suit. I mean, I guess who votes on that? Is it fans or is it
No, the MVPs. I forget who it is, but it's the media and it's like some writers for the NFL.
I guess it just depends on what's the most valuable attributes that they come to make a decision on the MVP, because like we've seen Love play quarterback for Green Bay when Rodgers couldn't play. We've seen it a couple times, right? And it's clear that Aaron Rodgers immediately makes that team fucking better, right? Like night and day different. So if that's what we're going by, you know what I mean, then he's definitely the most valuable player on that team because he plays quarterback position. He's been doing it for a long time. And he's still doing it at a high level. And you know, if he does go to a different team this year, we're gonna really find out, you know, how Green Bay does without him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but you know, I don't. It's hard to say. It's hard for me to say without actually knowing for sure what goes into that pick, you know, to be like the most valuable player in the NFL. Because I mean, Brady statistically, I think had one of his best seasons, if I'm not mistaken.
I think the deciding factor was the fact that he only threw 4 picks this year. You know,
oh really?
I think that was the biggest thing. Yeah. So, you know, statistically, he was a top, you know, in the tops in touchdowns, yards. But he only threw 4 picks versus some of the other guys that are out there that had thrown, you know, 10, 15, you know, interceptions that were being considered. So,
I mean, that's pretty impressive because they throw the ball a lot, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. So I think that was the kicker there. Like they're like, oh shit, you know, his TD to interception ratio was ridiculous.
What was his touchdown?
I think he had 38, I believe.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking insane.
Yeah. 34 or 38, but yeah, it's pretty good season.
I wonder what the top 10, like the average for quarterbacks in the top 10 for interceptions is. I would say it's probably what, like,
I know Brady, I think, had 14. Allen had 15. Mahomes had 15.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of double-digit quarterbacks there. So
yeah. So that's insane.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think that was a deciding factor. I'm not surprised.
You know, well, you know, like I said, it's going to be a big offseason because we're going to get into some free agent stuff, talking stuff today, and like the number one free agent for 2022 is
his counterpart, PIC, his partner in crime out here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're gonna find out, you know, that really soon in this next year, because I don't know, man. I think Green Bay might be ready to kind of get on their rebuild train.
It seems like I did hear and see some things. I think they're going to really sell out to keep Rodgers.
Yeah, well, I mean, according to Pro Fantasy Focus, that's what it's called, right?
Pro Football Focus.
Pro Football Focus, because we this is what we're using for the top free agents.
Yep.
And Davante Adams has made it clear that he wants to be one of the highest paid receivers, and you know, he is one of the best in the league for sure. I don't know if Green Bay can afford that with Rodgers, so I guess just
considering
what's that?
Considering what they have is projected, so what they have, Davante Adams's projected cap was a 4-year, $93 million, accounting for 23.25 per year and 65 total guaranteed. I can absolutely see that contract being something that he targets.
Well, if they tagged him, it'd be just shy of 20 million.
Yeah. So will he play on a tag though? I don't know. Does he sign the franchise tag and sit out a year? Possibly. But
I would be willing to say that if he's not playing with Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to ask for the big money. But you know, if Rodgers is gone from Green Bay, I think he'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, I can see that. And you know, that's one of the things too, is that, you know, you look at teams that have some salary cap space available. I mean, you're looking at the top 5 teams that have space available: Miami, Los Angeles, Chargers, the Jags, Cincinnati, and Denver are the teams that are going to have the most total cap space. You said
Los Angeles. Who you talking about?
The Chargers. The Chargers.
Okay.
So, I mean, hey.
Could you imagine Davante Adams with fucking Herbert, dude?
Well, Mike Williams is on the free agent list this year. So, like, him and Keenan Allen would be Justin Herbert would probably he won't need Viagra. He'll be walking around with a fucking boner all day with that shit, you know, with those weapons. But, you know, that would just be an insane combination.
I'd be walking around with the boner watching those games.
Yeah, dude, I know exactly. Like, fuck, dude. I'm already thinking about fucking fantasy football next year with that happening, if that's the case. But I think he stays. I really do. I don't know. I can't, especially if Rodgers is there. I think they figure out a way to make it work. Now, what that says for the rest of the team and what position players they have, I just don't know. How the cap, they'll figure it out, even if they have to push money forward, whatever it is. But I do think he ends up staying, regardless whether it's a franchise tag or an actual contract extension there.
Now, the second player, and we might as well just keep getting into the free agency stuff since we're talking about it, is New Orleans Saints tackle, Teron Armstead.
Yep.
He is a free agent, and you look at that, you have the cap space brought up in front of you. I mean, if you're looking at those 5 teams and with the top most cap space, Cincinnati, really their biggest needs probably offensive line, and they have a pretty high salary cap. So could this be a tackle that they could be having their eyes on to protect Joe Burrow down there from getting his knees hit?
I do think he's going to be a fairly highly sought after player. And, the market for left tackles, it's a premier position in the NFL, right? So, I do think he's going to have a lot of suitors, and I just can't see how the fuck New Orleans works their salary cap around to sign him back. Anyway,
they got a fucking monster in there dealing with these contracts, dude. He must be he's just got to be a genius.
Yeah, I mean, they'll make it work, but I just don't know. I just don't know how they do it. PFF has them has the Colts targeting him in the offseason, playing next to Quentin Nelson, and that could be an interesting fit. But I think Cincinnati is gonna after seeing what happened, I think they're gonna target some players here, and I could absolutely see that as well.
Yeah, the contract projection for Armstead is supposedly they're saying 3 years, $60 million.
Yep.
Which for your
for an elite tackle, that's about it's about where you're going to be. So
yeah, and he's 30 years old, so I mean he's got some time left. I mean, fuck
yeah,
not everybody's Andrew Whitworth, but I mean
you would think he's got at least 3 years, right?
Yeah, for sure, easily. Yeah, not everybody's Andrew Whitworth. He's like the Tom Brady of tackles in terms of like age. I think he just
exactly. He's 40 years old. Like how the shit? I don't know. Dude,
I don't even know. I don't know how he did it either. I'm assuming he's going to retire, right?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, now, especially after
where's he got to go? He's got nowhere else to go. He's got his ring. Like he's getting that beard is getting gray. You might as well just fucking hang it up. But I think that I brought that question up to somebody I think Sunday, but like it's almost or maybe even a little bit more impressive, maybe not because it's quarterback, but then Tom Brady, because I mean that dude's taking contact every single play, and he's been able to do it for 20 years. It's insane. Number 3 on this list, we got Chris Godwin. Unfortunately, he got injured this year. He was on pace to him and Brady are really, really getting some chemistry on the field there. I don't know you got to pull up in front of you. What's their cap situation like for the Buccaneers? Because I would imagine with being able to keep all the linebackers they kept from the year before, I feel like they're going to lose some people.
Projected cap, total cap space here. Looks like they got 6 million, or just 6.8 million available.
What number are they on that list?
19.
I mean, we'll see what they can work out.
I mean, these are pretty arbitrary numbers. I think these will all kind of shake out a little bit different. Once you cut players and you make some free agent moves, or off-season cuts, restructures, things of that nature. So
his projection is 4 years, 70 million. So
you're looking at 17.5 a year.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's there's some teams out there that could use a veteran receiver, man. I mean, I don't know I can't remember what the Giants are. I mean, we'll see what the Giants are going to do. I know like the new GM was saying that they like Daniel Jones, but I think that's all bullshit. I think they'll look at the options of maybe trying to get a guy like, whether it's, we don't know what's going on with Watson. And I know he played that off, but, want him or Russell Wilson, like some of those. I mean, if they could make a move like that, I think they would. And then, because like I think we talked about it on the last podcast, like or maybe this news just came out, but like they said that the Giants are going to shop Saquon Barkley around, and like the 49ers might be interested, which I think is a good move. I think they could get rid of him, you know what I mean, and get some value out of him still. But then the Kadarius Toney was in that conversation as well, which I thought was weird because they just drafted him. I felt like, and I think he can become a really good receiver. You know, he's got that speed. So I don't see
Toney getting moved.
Yeah, see, I thought Saquon, yes. Toney, I thought that was kind of weird. But like, you know, if you look at what the Giants have, you know, as far as receivers go, they got some playmakers. I think if they added someone like Godwin, it would help tremendously, and I think they can make that improvement. I don't know if that's, you know, I don't know what their cap situation's looking like, if they can or not, but I don't know. What do you think they'd get out of Saquon? I mean, they're not going to get the first rounder back.
No, I could see like a third or fourth conditional that could become a second.
Yeah,
possibly. I think that's what they would look for, but you know, that's tough to say. Bro, why not send him over to Seattle and play with Russ?
Yeah, I mean, if
Godwin and DK.
Yeah, I mean, you're forgetting about. I mean, I don't know if he's a free agent, but what's his name?
Lockett.
Yeah, Lockett.
That'd be a fucking stupid receiving core.
Yeah. But they fucking need some defense over there for sure. So, I mean, we'll see. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Well, they currently got 52 guys signed. So, I mean, since he's only got 37 guys signed right now. So, like, they're going to have to make some moves, and that's going to eat into their cap space as well. But
yeah. But that actually, Godwin is another one I want to keep an eye on and see exactly where he
could return to Tampa Bay too. I mean, it's very likely. Yeah.
I mean, if anything, Evans is getting older. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's been in the league a while, and Godwin's definitely the number one there, I would imagine. So we will see, especially, and we're going to get into it after the free agency stuff, but maybe Kyler Murray's looking for a new home, and they could maybe it's Tampa. I don't know. Number 4, we got Von Miller with the Rams. Who knows, dude? He's been in the league a while. He's second Super Bowl winner that won with 2 different teams. Would you be surprised if he said, you know what, I'm gonna hang it up?
No, not necessarily, but I thought he was he's a guy to consider, you know, as far as you have to still, you know,
I mean, he's what, 30 scheme wise? 30,
let's see.
His contract would be projected at 2 years, 34 million. So it just depends on what he wants to do, I think. But yeah, he's in his 30s. I know that.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough one. You know, I could see him moving on. I mean, with what the Rams did and what traded what they did to make it work. I just don't know cap wise that they're going to have the ability to retain him.
Yeah.
You know, now if Aaron Donald leaves, maybe they do want to retain him for a year, but you know, there's another guy that is next on the list that I think, you know, is a very intriguing option that maybe they look at. But yeah, I do think Von Miller, I think he ends up playing somewhere else next year.
I mean, you got to thank the Rams
where that
assembled this team, you know, to basically win the Super Bowl, and they did. So they're definitely going to lose some pieces.
Yeah, and you know, he's going to be more of a specific scheme fit for some teams. So defensively, I think it kind of limits some, you know, options. But it's again a guy that you always have to account for in the offensive game plan. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, 2 years, 17 for.
I think if you're a team that's like, you know, gonna be in the playoff, you know, you're gonna be in the playoffs, and like you have a chance of like fighting for the Super Bowl next year, I say go for it.
I mean, they mentioned the Chargers, and you know, that doesn't, after losing Ingram,
that would be,
you know, like I could see them replacing him with that, but you know, that'd be interesting. You know, he doesn't have to. He's in LA now. I mean, as well.
Yeah, he wouldn't have to move. It'd be great.
Right. Now this next guy I'm really intrigued by because I love this player.
Yeah. So number 5 is Chandler Jones from the Cardinals. He missed majority of the 2020 NFL season. He had that bicep injury. Came back. Week 1 was big. He had 5 sacks against Taylor Lewan, Tennessee, who's actually a really good one of the best. I don't know if he's one of the best in the league, but he's a starting like solid tackle and has been dominant. It was his first game back from blowing out his knee. But ever since then, I don't think. I mean, it says here Jones finished at 89.8 passing rush grade. I mean, he's sixth most among 15 quarterback hits, tied for 6th most among edge defenders. So he's got double-digit sacks in each of the past 2 seasons, so that's good. And he's played more than 300 snaps. So he's getting older. I think he's in his early 30s. I don't know if he's quite as dominant as he once was, but I'm sure he could still help a team out. Again, probably another player who, if he did leave the Cardinals, he would probably go to a team that's Super Bowl ready.
I want the Bills to look at targeting a guy like this. I think this is their biggest need.
Yeah,
is a effective pass rush.
Yeah,
I want to see the Bills target a guy like this.
2 years, 33.5 mils, about 16.75 million a year is his projected contract. And we'll see. There's some stuff going on with the Cardinals right now. I don't know. I mean, it's possibility.
Yeah.
What's the Cardinals cap space on there? Because they haven't had to pay Kyler, and they might not pay Kyler now.
Yeah, I mean they're sitting at right now with 52 guys signed, 2.7 million available. So,
I mean, that's going to change.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're going to see a lot of movement here. With trades, with free agent signings, cuts, things of that nature. So.
Cornerbacks are always needed for a lot of teams. Nowadays it's like normal to have even your backups, to be pretty good, solid players ready to go. There's a lot of injuries. It's really hard to play cornerback. So at number 6, you have J.C. Jackson with New England Patriots.
I think he stays.
Yeah, he played this year on a second round restricted free agent tender, and he was valued at $3.384 million. And was seeking an extension before the season, but New England, they don't they don't even really give a shit about that because they've gotten away with paying small amounts for players. So
yeah,
we'll see. I don't know when he was drafted. I don't know how. I mean, he's projected 4 years, $72 million. We'll see. The defense was definitely the bright spot for the Patriots this year, so I would imagine that they probably would maybe try to keep him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Number 7, Mike Williams, you mentioned earlier, with Chargers, is a free agent. Was he injured? He was injured a little bit this year, no?
Yeah, I mean, he has been off and on in his career, but he was
he slowed down a little bit as the year went on.
Yeah. He's one of those guys though that can just be a monster in games and take over games, but
yeah.
He's not like a burner, but he's let's put it this way, he's a really good complement to what Keenan Allen brought to the table. So
yeah.
I think if you got a guy that takes a lot of coverage away from him, he can be a dominant fit. And I'm curious to see. I mean, the Chargers got a few holes to fill as well. So, like, do they bring a guy like Mike Williams back? Do they target a guy like Chris Godwin instead? There's things to consider there, but I can see Mike Williams playing in a different place.
They're saying that
sure.
He'd be a good fit for a team like Philadelphia or Washington. Out of these 2 teams, I would say Washington because they got McLaurin. He's a fucking monster. That'd be a nice compliment, I think.
Yep, I agree.
The Washington Commanders that everybody fucking hates. Yeah. Apparently.
Now, who is quarterbacking them is going to be a big, determining factor, I think, for Mike Williams. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, with Terry, it doesn't matter because he catches everything with any quarterback apparently. So
right.
We're gonna find that out too. I don't know what their plans are. I think they keep Heineke at least as a backup. I mean, he's played. I mean, there's games he's had that have been solid. I haven't looked at his yearly stats, but his story is fucking pretty impressive. Number 8, we got safety Marcus Williams, New Orleans Saints. Again, the Saints have some free agents, and they are somehow monsters at managing their cap space. And defense is definitely probably their strongest suit. I know they just promoted their defensive coordinator as the head coach, so they're definitely gonna have some consistency with the defense here. We'll see if they'll be able to work their magic to keep this guy, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, the Saints are probably what their cap space. They're probably last in the league. No,
dead last. They have it's unreal. It's like they're like 70 million in the hole. Like it's unbelievable.
Insane. That's crazy.
But yeah, I could absolutely. I mean, I just don't know how they're going to retain these guys. They'll have to do some cap gymnastics. There are going to be cap casualties. Like if they keep Terran Armstead, they're going to have to. I think they have to cut ties with Marcus Williams. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I just don't see him playing in New Orleans this year.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on what you find more valuable right now, and with the quarterback situation. I mean, I guess maybe they give Winston another shot, but I mean, you're definitely going to want to, what's easier to. It's hard to find really good tackles, right? So I guess it just comes down to which one you're going to value more.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of tackles, number 9, Orlando Brown Jr., Kansas City Chiefs.
Good player, man. I think it's going to be a guy that
probably a guy they're going to try and keep, right?
But I honestly do think they make it work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you see what they tried to do after the Super Bowl last year, against Tampa Bay. They completely revamped their offensive line this year, and they played pretty well this year.
Yeah.
And, I just think it's a guy that the Chiefs, I think this was a good eval year for him to see how he fit in the scheme. And I think he played very well. And I just think that the Chiefs end up retaining him. So I don't see Orlando Brown really being a guy that's on the move this year.
Well, he's dependable too, because he took over as a starter week 7 of his rookie season. That was in 2018. And he hasn't missed a game. And he's played since, and he's played over 1,100 snaps in the last 3 seasons. So durable guy who is going to be on the field. That's why he's going to be worth 5 years, $100 million, $105 million. So yeah, I think they're going to do whatever they can to sign that dude. That's not a guy that you can really let walk, I think. And lastly, number 10, Allen Robinson. This is interesting. I feel bad for him because, even when he was at Jacksonville, I mean, he's never played with a good quarterback, and he in the scheme that the Bears ran under Nagy just never really went downfield too much. And I don't think we ever got to see Allen Robinson's full potential really. And, now he's getting older. I don't know how old he is, but, I think he's still got some left for sure. I think he could really help a team out. And I just don't think that he'll stay with the Bears. I think he will go somewhere else where, he's just gonna have a better opportunity. So I mean, here it's saying teams like Jacksonville, Philadelphia. It says Cleveland. I mean, I wanted him last time he was a free agent. I just think it's gonna be hard for the Browns to try and persuade receivers to come here, like that are in the free agency, because if he just spent the last most of his career playing on teams that don't throw the ball much, it's like, why would he want to come to Cleveland when we don't even? I mean,
true.
Yeah. They did make Baker throw like 30 times a game, but like we didn't do anything with it really. You know what I mean? So it'd be hard for me to see that.
But he's a guy that a big bodied receiver, I think, that could really complement what you guys trying to do.
Because honestly, I think Jarvis Landry is going to be. I think he's going to leave. Honestly, I don't know for sure.
You guys could definitely use some wide receiver help, and I think bringing in a vet like this, and honestly, you might be able to get them cheaper than the 16 per year that they're saying too as a projected cap. So maybe. So, but yeah,
I'll keep an eye on him too. I hope he can finish his career. Doing what I think he's capable of doing. So we'll see. But that's the 10 top free agents according to Pro Football Focus.
We'll go through the next batch next week. Kind of see what we're looking at there. So
yeah. Real quick, I did I used the Draft Network mock draft simulator. I just simulated all the teams just to kind of get a look at what's coming up here. We'll be doing our mock draft soon. I need to do a little more research on some of these players.
I'm still doing some breakdowns myself.
It's been a while, but part of me doing this, I just wanted to see, because like, I don't know in the last time we've had this, but you have the Giants and the Jets picking twice in the top 10, which is, I think, who knows? I don't know if there's ever been a year. I'm sure there has, but I just think it's crazy for two teams to have two picks like that close towards the top of the draft. This one I did, man, they had Jacksonville going with the offensive tackle. Well, that makes sense. The offensive tackle from Alabama, Evan Neal, guy to protect Trevor Lawrence. But here's what's weird is they have the Lions going with the safety from Notre Dame, Kyle Hamilton, and they have Hutchinson landing at number 3 to the Texans. So I think that's kind of weird how this one played out. I don't know what you did on your end. Didn't you do one?
I did not.
They did that. So the Giants, well, they have the Jets going with an offensive tackle from NC State, Akeem Ikwanu. Ikwanu. I can't pronounce that fucking name. But they have the Giants going with the edge rusher from Oregon, Kayvon. I could never pronounce his name either.
Thibodeau?
Yeah. How do you say it?
I pronounce it Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. That's right. Yeah. Thibodeau. That'd be nice.
Is that right? I don't know.
That'd be nice to but I'm looking at this though, again, like I projected, we'd have to do the research, go back. I mean, I'm sure that someone has the stat somewhere, but the first time that we haven't had supposedly in these mock drafts, a quarterback go in the top 10. I mean, they don't even, I'm trying to look, the first quarterback taken off the board here, I think, is Malik Willis, Liberty. And that's at the Green Bay at 28. Let me see if I missed it.
Oh, wow. This is
What'd you do?
Mine is interesting. I just simulated it. So I'll share my screen when you're done going through yours. Because it's very interesting.
Oh yeah. So yeah, a lot of linemen going in mine. Offensive linemen in this.
It's a pretty unique draft with I feel like there's a lot of solid top end linemen. You got a few edge players mixed in. It's a very deep wide receiver class again, and I feel like there's some pretty solid corners sprinkled in there as well. The edge players are all going to be very interesting to me outside of the top 2. You got a lot of raw, physical guys that are inside the, in this draft class. And, I'm really, really curious to see how those play out. But I mean, you're pretty dominated in the top picks which is surprising. Usually you see quarterbacks galore, right? But you're pretty dominated in edge and tackles. Edge, tackle, wide receiver are the big ones here. But I have a pretty unique. You'll get a kick out of mine. I'll actually share my screen.
The only one I'm looking at now, like I don't want to go through them all, but they have Cleveland taking Devontae Wyatt from the interior defensive lineman from Georgia. They do need someone on the inside, but
I like that. I did a mock earlier, and I had him going to the Bills.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most Browns fans, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of them want a receiver at that spot, but we'll see. I wouldn't even be surprised if they freaking traded down. But
there's a guy that in this simulator in this mock goes in the second round that I took with the Bills, John Mechie. He was the number 1 wideout for Alabama before he got hurt, and that's a guy. Really? That's a guy I think could be had in the second round just based on
what this year. You mean?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
He got hurt early.
On yours, go ahead and share it. Did you pick a team, or did you just do? Did you simulate them all?
Let me turn it on for me.
Oh,
It won't let me. Yeah, Zoom's kind of stupid with that.
yeah.
I have to do that all the time.
I just did it.
With customers. All right, let's do this. Can you see my my draft screen here?
Oh yeah.
All right. So I think this is kind of the
yours,
common thread here.
Yeah,
with Hutchinson and Thibodeau going back to back. I can absolutely see that. Kyle Hamilton, which I am very high on this year. I think he's just a dynamic playmaker. Again, this will all be affected by free agency prior to the draft. Evan Neal, I can see the Jets, solidifying some tackle play. And the Giants, that'll be an interesting play. That's going to play out with how their free agency looks this year. The third edge off the board, Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. Again, this is a guy that I think he's a very intriguing prospect because he's very, very athletic, and I think he can, dominate. And then you have Aiden Hutchinson's counterpart at Michigan, Ajabo going here. First corner off the board in Stingley Jr. from LSU, who is very interesting. A guy I'm very high on, and it's kind of interesting he goes to Washington. I can absolutely see that. Now, here's where I thought was very interesting is the Cleveland Browns at 13. Take a look at that one, Justin.
Oh, whoa.
Taking Malik Willis from Lilly.
Very interesting.
I thought that was pretty. I saw that. I'm like, holy shit. Do I see that happening? Not necessarily.
No, I don't.
But
that would be crazy.
That would send a message, huh? But yeah, the guy above him and Jordan Davis, I love that guy. Now, if the Minnesota Vikings do that, I could absolutely see them parting ways with Daniil Hunter. With their stud defensive tackle. So if they go Jordan Davis there, I can absolutely see them parting ways with him. Another guy I'm a big fan of, Tyler Linderbaum, probably the best center in the game or in college football. I like that move for Cincinnati. Now the Chargers here, I think, get a steal at 17 with Ahmad Gardner out of Cincy. It's a guy that has not let up a touchdown in his entire career.
That's insane.
In college football. And the guy's he's a fucking stud, man. Kenny Pickett, White Lightning, going to New Orleans Saints there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Matt Corral from Ole Miss going there as the third quarterback off the board.
That would be interesting.
I would, if Cincy or if Philly did that, that'd be killer draft in my opinion. The Patriots are thinking that J.C. Jackson is going to be gone with their Trent McDuffie pick. Cameron Thomas, very intriguing. Again, the Bills using their assets on
another edge,
on another edge player. Honestly,
they just got two last year, didn't they?
Yeah, with how it shakes out though, with how this draft shook out, honestly, I could see him trading this pick if this is what where they're at. But hey, Garrett Wilson, a guy that I think if they lose Chris Godwin,
yeah.
That's a good fit there. Nakobe Dean, I'm a big fan of Nakobe Dean. So,
dude, if Kansas City gets Chris Olave, my fucking God.
Yeah, they could.
God damn.
They need a compliment to Tyreek Hill, and that would be a really good compliment to Tyreek Hill. So, and then they got Cincy targeting some offensive line help there. So, pretty interesting draft.
Dude, I think you saw that clip I sent you. I wonder where this guy will raise up on the draft boards, but that lineman from Northern Iowa I sent you at the Senior Bowl, Trevor Penning.
Oh yeah, he's
dominating people.
He was a teammate of Spencer Brown from the Bills, and I think he was a guy that they, I like his game.
Dude, he
big nasty
he's a big dude.
Big nasty mean motherfucker.
6'7", 322 pounds, and just tossing. I mean, we're talking like elite defensive ends, just throwing him around.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that I think, depending on how he trains this offseason,
might be able to be a steal in the second round, maybe.
I mean, he's a guy. It's a senior. It's a senior goal.
They got him. No, they got him going at 6 to Carolina Panthers right there. So he's a top guy.
Yeah, Yeah, he's one of those guys as a Senior Bowl guy. I could absolutely see him as a first round talent. I don't know about top 6, but he's just he was a stud for them. So
I'm seeing where he went online.
Completely different fucking outcomes here.
Well, they have Penning going on mine. They have him at 6 of the Panthers as well. That's kind of funny. Yeah, man. I didn't realize there was this many offensive line. I mean, fuck, dude. When
tackles?
Yeah,
tackles galore.
We're gonna see that again, dude. Tackles galore and like no quarterbacks.
Good question. Was not. I mean, crazy. I wasn't really a fan of this quarterback class. I mean, I think your top guys are pretty solid, but
nah, man.
I do like the wide receiver and corner class a lot in this one, and you got some tackles that are available, but outside of that, you got some interesting players. Like you're going to struggle to find some top end interior guys on the defensive line outside of the guys from Georgia.
Yeah.
So. It's in a draft that is going to be a pretty need based for some teams. I think teams that are right there as far as contenders and playoff teams. I think they make more of a push in free agency for some elite pieces, and then get some of your developmental guys. As you kind of go down here, you're going to see those.
I guess I could see the Browns rolling with that interior defensive lineman, especially since what's his face. Keeps getting in trouble.
If they get Malik Willis, man, that'd be or not Malik Willis. If they get Jordan Davis, that'd be a interesting thing. But
yeah,
they said fuck you, Baker. We're taking Malik.
That'd be wild.
That would be wild. Holy shit! I'd shit my pants, dude. Like, I mean, I don't know what we're doing for the draft, but if we're doing like a live whatever or a post first round, that came to fruition. Like,
dude, that was a fun podcast we did that one year.
Yeah.
It was long, but it was fun. But yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
So before we go, let's talk about here. I'm just gonna exit out.
Yeah, you could take the screen back there.
Wait, what am I doing?
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Because I mentioned the Kyler Murray news earlier. I mean, other than that's probably the biggest news. Besides Adrian Peterson, beating the shit out of his wife again. Whatever. I mean, typical. I mean, we've, he had the kid incident, and he's probably going to try and walk on the team this year because he's probably got the fucking earn income somehow, even though he's however old. But it seems to be a reoccurring thing in his career. But no, Kyler Murray, if you live under a rock, it started by him deleting all the Cardinals things off his social media. So everybody was like, well, what's going on? And then the Cardinals kind of did the same thing. And like, his character has been in question, a little bit, and we don't really know what's going on. I don't think we ever really will know what's going on behind the scenes. It's just crazy that this is even a thing because, halfway through the season, I mean, the Cardinals look like one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, they couldn't be stopped offensively. And then they had this crazy nosedive. But it raises the question, are the Cardinals, are they going to trade him? And who's going to trade for Kyler? Because I tell you, it's probably not going to be a cold weather team, right? That's why I said Tampa earlier. Miami, like I don't really know, but do you think Kyler, with all this stuff that's coming out, do you think he will be in a different uniform next year?
Man, that's tough.
Because his leadership was questioned too, but then like there was something supposedly that said there in that last game he like pulled himself out and said he's done, and like is he gonna just be done with football, maybe go baseball? Like I don't know, like what, it's just a weird thing. The whole thing's weird.
Yes. That is a good question. I don't think he moves on this year. Now, if shit goes south this year, I can absolutely see him not picking up the 5th-year option and moving out from next year. But I do think he plays in Arizona next year. I think they're going to try to do some damage control by trying to maybe put some more pieces around him a little bit. And, and I think we move on. But that report, you see the report come out from Chris Mortensen talking about, selfishness and like he's a finger pointer, blah, 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 blah. And, that's how it starts usually in the turmoil, the world of turmoil in locker rooms and things. So I think they'll try to bury it as much as possible. But if they kind of fizzle like they did this year, I could absolutely see them being like, I'm out, like, and going from there. But
I don't even think it's just him though. Like if they have a nosedive again like this, I think Kingsbury will be gone because it's one of the things I think we talked about. It's one of the things that has been consistent in his career as a coach, even at Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. And so far in the NFL, it's like those start out hot or they just had like these nosedives at the end of the season. So he's very consistent with that for whatever reason. Maybe they're just not making adjustments. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm not in the locker room. There's no, I don't coach obviously. So, but I mean, it got to be something because I mean, when's the last time that you remember a team being that good that early? I mean, beginning of the season, dude, those first 7-8 weeks, I mean, like they were scoring they were in the red zone, they were scoring, and like they were just making teams look silly, dude, offensively. Like they could not be stopped. So to go from that to having, there was a point in time where it was like there was 5 weeks where they were in the red zone, they haven't scored a touchdown, at least a passing touchdown, right? But then I've noticed like Kingsbury, dude, he would run. There'd be multiple times we'd be watching a game and he would run 4 pass plays on the 5-yard line. It's like, dude, Connor's been killing it. It's like hand the fucking ball off to him, So I think he could be on the hot seat if they don't at least make the playoffs next year.
You would think. Well, we thought that they would be a team to progress in the playoffs this year, and here we are. But there's things that Kyler needs to do better. There's things that the front office needs to address. And then we'll see. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see a moving on from them this year, but I do think that this is the start of, don't be surprised if it happens, after this next upcoming season for sure. Yeah.
Well, we will find out. Off season is officially here. Again, the Rams are your 2021, 2022 Super Bowl champs. And the off season is now officially, well, I guess you could say
we're on the clock, man.
I guess you could say March 16th because that's when the new year begins, right? And you can start doing trades and shit. But technically,
put everyone on notice for mocks and get ready for prospect evaluation. The combine is right around the corner. Pro days are right around the corner. The rumor mills are about to fire up. So let's go, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty pumped.
The football never stops, man. It's year round.
Nope. That's why we need to get that blog site up and running, dude, so we can start writing some shit. So that's something that we're gonna focus on, I think, in the off season here. Just to write down our thoughts, and I think it'll be fun. So we'll let's work on getting that up. And then in the meantime, you can follow us at AJXO Pod on Twitter and TikTok. Usually I post the podcast on there. It should be on all platforms, even though I've tried to search on the platforms I use and I haven't been able to find our show basically. But I host it with Spreaker, so maybe that's why. I mean, they are supposed to put it out on Apple and all that stuff. So but yeah, man. Personally, you can follow me at Justin_Maxim.
You guys can follow me at BillsFan53, and that's B1 LLSFan53. So give us a follow, give us a like, give us topics you want us to cover for off season, give us money, give us props, I'm just kidding, but definitely give us a follow and keep us active here and let us know what you want us to cover, and we'll dive into it balls deep,
Absolutely. So yeah, Yeah, next week. I say we'll do some mock draft stuff next week, maybe. Then maybe like at least the top 10, and then maybe go from there each week until we cover the first round. I think it'll be fun. So that'll be next week. But until then, we're peacing out, and y'all be sweet.